Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Perkenalkan, nama saya Septia Wulan Dari, NIM 2011071016, kelas 2AD4TC. Baiklah, di sini saya akan menjelaskan UAS mata kuliah Medan Elektromagnetik II. Yang pertama yaitu lektur 22, yang berjudul Maxwell Equation atau persamaan Maxwell. Yang pertama yaitu untuk proporsi pertama yaitu T sama dengan 2V R per tegangan sama dengan 1 dikali 14 dikali 10 pangkat 16. Dapat lihat pada di layar di mana setiap elektron yang lewat. Jadi, inilah definisi arus, yaitu muatan per satuan waktu, dan setiap detik modal T, muatan E berlalu, dan ini menurut definisi arus. Jadi, arus ini disebabkan oleh elektron yang mengelilingi proton yang mewakili miliampere dan tentu saja memiliki momen magnet. Untuk teori mekanika kuantum yaitu bahwa momen magnetik di mana semua elektron di orbit dan hanya dapat menjadi kecepatan disebut juga kuantisasi. Dapat dilihat pada layar yang dimana 2VR sama dengan keliling lingkaran, V sama dengan kecepatan elektron, dan T sama dengan waktu. Dimana elektron adalah muatan yang berputar pada sumbunya sendiri, dan itu juga berarti bahwa muatan berputar pada skala putaran elektron dan momen magnetik selalu bernilai 10 pangkat min 24. Jadi, momen dipol magnet bersih dari sebuah atom atau molekul sekarang adalah jumlah vektorial. Dapat dilihat pada layar yang dimana B vektor sama dengan medan magnet, dan ini adalah berbanding lurus, dan B vektor yang lainnya itu medan vakum, di mana medan magnet adalah medan vakum yang dapat dibuat dengan sinusoida dengan medan vakum prima, yang medan magnet merupakan hasil dari fakta bahwa kita akan menyelaraskan dipol. Jika medan vakum berbanding lurus dengan medan vakum, maka medan magnet prima sama dengan Xi dari Xn.
Hysteresis curve. And for that, I have to do several things. And I always forget what I have to do, but just don't worry about it. I will find out. My TV goes on. This light goes off, and this light goes off. Look there on the screen, and you will see within seconds, there is the hysteresis curve. And as I said to you earlier, I cannot start here, unfortunately, because we switch it so fast back and forth that this part of the curve, by the way, which is called the virginal curve, virginal because it's once and never again, once you've reached that point, from that moment on, you always stick to this. I know, you should know about that. And so here you see a striking example of a hysteresis curve. And so you can ask yourself now the question, can we make this material virginal again? And then the answer is yes, there are various ways you can do that. One way is you could take the material out, so that means you take it out, for instance, when there is remnant magnetism here, so it's a magnet, and now you heat it up above the Curie point, as we did last time in my lecture, and then the domains completely fall apart, and then you cool it again below the Curie point, and then it is virginal material again. And then you could start here again. That's one way you could do it. There's another way you could try to do it. You take a hammer and you just bang on it. So you take it out, and you have permanent magnetism, either here or there, and you bang on it, and you hope for the best, and maybe you can get it back to here. There's another way, which we call demagnetization. And I think that's what happens when you steal a book in the library and you try to get away with it, and the alarm goes off. Someone hasn't demagnetized the magnetic strip in the book. But you may have noticed that when you take it out, that someone under the table goes like this. And what they're doing then is they're demagnetizing that strip. And the way you do that is as follows. Here the current goes back and forth between this value and this value. That means B vacuum and I are directly coupled to each other. So I think of this as being current. And now I go up to here and then back, and then here, and 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 I end up there again, and I can show you that. So again, you have alternating current, but the amplitude of the current, you decrease, and decrease, and decrease, and you're going to see that there, and you see that I can turn this material, see the hysteresis curve changes, so the amplitude of the current is not as large, so the amplitude of the B vacuum is not as large, and I slowly go back, and I can change a non-virgin back into a virgin. And that's the way we do it as physicists. Demagnetization. Did I turn that off? Yes, I did. I have here a coil. You can't see that there is a coil inside here, but there is. I can power this coil, putting a current through it. Ferromagnetic material. I don't know what kappa is, but at least 1,000. I get an enormously strong field inside here. And this field is so strong that this piece of ferromagnetic material will be attracted. The field is non-uniform outside. We discussed last time that it will go clunk. It will stick there. So let's do that. So I powered this electromagnet. You can't see that I did. You have to take my word for it, but you will leave it now. There it goes. Oh boy. The force is so large that I would ask two people to come and see whether they can pull it apart. The force that the two are together is so large that you may not even be able to separate it. Do we have two strong people? One strong woman, one strong man. You look very strong to me. Come on. It's not going to be a tug of war between the two of you. That's not my plan. Be very careful, because if you touch this, you get electrocuted. So don't do that. So make sure that everyone can see you, because there's a current running through this solenoid now. Yeah? Okay, now, just in case that you succeed, I don't want you to get hurt.
Okay.
So make sure that you secure yourself. Because suppose the current stopped running all of a sudden. It's possible, it's MIT, right? Anything can happen. Then, of course, it's no longer a strong magnet. It's only a strong magnet as long as the current is running through the solenoid. So you secure yourself too. Okay, 3, 2, 1, 0, go. Don't worry. I knew that in advance, but thank you very much. Very kind of you. Now comes something that you will understand. If I make the current go to 0, then the vacuum field goes to 0. That means the field that is generated by the solenoid goes to 0. I will do that now in front of your own eyes. No more current, right? Why is this still hanging there? Yeah?
Because your solenoid field magnetized the ferrous thing inside, so now it's got a field of itself.
You're here. You've taken the vacuum field out, but the domains, to a certain degree, are still aligned, and so the whole thing is still a magnet. Not as strong a magnet. If I were to invite you to come now and take it apart, you could. But it still takes a substantial force, and I'll show you how large that force is. I'm going to load it down now. It's now 1 kilogram hanging on it. Ooh, let me make sure I secure that, otherwise I can get killed for a change. Okay, 3 kilograms is hanging on it now. 5 kilograms is hanging on it now. 7 kilograms is hanging on it now. 9 kilograms is hanging on it now. Oh boy, we may never make it. 10 kilograms, there it goes. $10 kilograms. Now the show is not over yet. What is very interesting, and I want you to think about it, that if now I take these two pieces of, ferromagnetic material, that nothing. You know why? I dropped it on the floor. That's really why. I drop it on the floor, and it is like banging it with a hammer, and then the domains go away. Had I not dropped it on the floor, there would have been something left, but very little, which is interesting by itself. The shock of the separation, when that happened already, makes many of the domains flip back, and there would be very little left. Not enough to carry this weight anymore, but that's largely because I dropped it on the floor. I did that purposely so you can see when you drop things on the floor. If I bring ferromagnetic material in the vicinity of a magnet, I change the magnetic field configuration, and that's very easy to understand now. Suppose I have here a magnet, North Pole, South Pole, and the magnetic field, magnetic dipole field, is sort of like this. And now I bring, in the vicinity, here a piece of ferromagnetic material. Could be a wrench. What happens now is that this ferromagnetic material will see this vacuum field. This is called a vacuum field, it's an external field. And so these domains in there, trying to line a little bit, degree of success, depends on how strong the field is, depends on the temperature, depends on the kappa m of that material. But certainly, this will become sort of a south pole, this will become a north pole. That's the way that these dipoles are going to align themselves. They're going to create themselves a field in this direction. They're going to support that field. And so the net result is that the field inside here becomes very strong. And so what happens with these field lines, they go like this. They're being sucked into this ferromagnetic material. It's very hard to know exactly how they go. And the field here will weaken. And I'm going to demonstrate that to you. This is actually very easy to demonstrate. And the way I'm going to demonstrate that is as follows. I have there a setup whereby we have a magnet and we have a nail and we have a string. And the nail wants to go to the magnet. The nail itself is ferromagnetic. And so the nail loves to go this direction, but it can't. So it just sits there, it hangs there in space. First of all, what I want to show you is that if I bring paramagnetic material in the vicinity, that magnetic field configuration here is not going to change at all. Paramagnetic material has a kappa of m so close to 1 that nothing is going to happen. But the moment that I bring ferromagnetic material, for instance here, then you get a field configuration change, and if I do that just the right way, then the nail will fall. In other words, there is not enough magnetic field here in order to hold the nail in that direction. And I'm going to show that to you there. Need some power here, I believe. And we have to make it dark here. We're going to shadow project it for you. And the shadow projection you will see coming up very shortly is a carbon arc. I have to give it a little bit of time to start. There's the carbon arc. So there you see the nail. And here you see the magnet. You see that? It was exactly the way I drew the picture. And here, I have here a piece of aluminum, which is paramagnetic. I can bring that through the field here. Nothing happens. My hands, believe it or not, are definitely not ferromagnetic. So I can also bring my hands here. Nothing. Nothing. So, magnetic field is not disturbed in any way, in any serious way, either by paramagnetic material, aluminum, or my hands, which I think are also paramagnetic, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether I'm diamagnetic or paramagnetic, but it doesn't make any difference, because in both cases there is no significant change of the magnetic field. But now I have a wrench here. Here, there's a wrench, you see it? Okay. And now I bring the wrench close to that magnet. My major worry is that magnetic field is so strong that once the wrench goes on, there's no way I can get it off again. So I get only one shot at it. And there goes the nail. So what you saw now in front of your own eyes is that I changed the magnetic field configuration in such a way that the field was not strong enough to pull in the nail. Now comes an important question, a big moment in our life. And that is, what now is the effect of magnetic material on Maxwell's equations? And let's take a look at Maxwell's equations. Here we have Maxwell's equations the way we know them. And let's first look at number one. That's Gauss' law. Gauss' law says that the closed surface integral of E dot dA, that's the electric flux to a closed surface, E is equal to all the charge inside divided by epsilon zero, but you have to allow for the kappa, for the dielectric constant. The kappa, by the way, always lowers the field inside the material when we deal with electric fields. It never increases it like magnetic fields. It always lowers it. Kappa is normally a few. Except for water, it is 80, it's quite large. And there are some ridiculous substances whereby kappa can be as large as 300. I think strontium titanate, I just looked it up this morning, has a ridiculous value of kappa of 300. So that's Gauss' law. Nothing is going to change there, as far as I can see. And then we have the second one. The closed surface integral of B dot dl equals zero. Oh, it says an L. It shouldn't even be an L. Oh, I hope you caught that. This is an A, of course. How could I? This is the closed surface integral of B dot dA is zero. What this is telling me is that magnetic monopoles don't exist. At least we think they don't exist. Don't think that people are not trying to find them. And if you find a magnetic monopole, and if you put that inside a box, then the closed surface integral of the magnetic flux through that box would not be zero. And so then this is not true, but as far as we know, it's always true. Because we don't think that magnetic monopoles exist. And so then we come to the Faraday's law. Faraday's law runs our economy. Faraday's law tells you when you move conducting loops in magnetic fields that you create electricity. This equation runs our economy. And now we come, none of these, by the way, require any adjustment in terms of kappa of m. But now we come to Ampere's law. Ampere's law, which was amended by Maxwell himself, tells me what the magnetic field is, and all these results are for vacuum. But now we know that that's not true anymore. So this has to be adjusted now by a factor of kappa of m, which is the relative permeability. And kappa of m is perfectly kosher for paramagnetic and diamagnetic materials. There's never any problem there. So here it comes. For diamagnetic materials, it's a little less than 1. For paramagnetic materials, a little larger than 1. But when we deal with ferromagnetic materials, you have to be very careful, because we have seen today this hysteresis phenomenon, that there are even situations whereby kappa of m is negative, whereby kappa m is 0, and whereby kappa m can be huge, can be 10 to the third. So there, you have to be very, very careful when you apply this equation without thinking. Maxwell's equations are so important that I'm sure you want to see more of them. So you see them there again. And maybe that's not enough. Maybe you want to see even more of them. So look at them. Inhale them. Let them penetrate your brains. I don't care in which direction you look now. It's hard not to see them. Today is therefore very special, because today we have all 4 Maxwell's equations in place. And this was one of the main objectives of 802. So we have completed a long journey, and on April 5, we have reached the summit. Now I realize that the view is not spectacular for all of you yet, because often at the summit there is some fog, but the fog will clear. And I can assure you that from here on it's climbing downhill. I think this moment is worth celebrating, and therefore I bought 600 daffodils for this occasion. And I would like you to come at the end of the lecture and pick up one of these daffodils and take it back to your dormitory. I don't know whether I have enough for all these high school students and all their parents, but why not? Give it a shot and take one. And when you look at it tonight at home and tomorrow, remember that you only once in your life go through this experience that for the first time you see all four Maxwell's equations complete. Hold it. And that you're capable of appreciating them, at least in principle. This will never happen again. You will never be the same. To put it in simple terms, as far as 802 is concerned, you are no longer unspoiled virginal material. You've lost your virginity. Congratulations.
Untuk selanjutnya itu lektur 26. Traveling waves, standing waves, musical instrument, atau gelombang berjalan, gelombang berdiri, dan instrumen musik. Di mana yang pertama yaitu gelombang berjalan mengganti X dalam bersamaan dengan X dikurang 6T. Mengubah tanda min ke arah positif, jadi sesuatu bergerak dengan kecepatan ke arah positif. Maka yang harus kita lakukan dalam persamaan adalah mengganti X dengan X dikurang VT. Agar benda itu bergerak ke arah min X, maka diganti X per VT. Dapat dilihat pada layar terdapat 3 buah gambar. Itu yang pertama itu rumus gelombang berjalan, yang kedua itu diagram gelombang berjalan, dan yang ketiga itu gambar gelombang berjalan. Masuk ke gelombang nyata itu K sama dengan 2V per lambda sama dengan 3, yang dimanakah bilangan gelombang. Gambar yang terdapat pada layar itu agar gambarnya berjalan, maka persamaan yang dipakai informasi bilangan gelombang menyimpan informasi tentang panjang gelombang dan informasi berapa kecepatannya. Tanda negatif atau min itu memberitahu itu menuju arah positif atau dengan tanda tambah. Kedua yaitu gelombang berdiri. Jika X0 sinus selalu 0, jadi titik ini tidak akan pernah bergerak. Tetapi jika Kx adalah 180 derajat, itu juga 0. Jadi lambda lebih dari 2 tidak akan bergerak. Jadi ketika kosinus omega plus 1, jadi kurvanya seperti gambar yang sini. Bedanya dengan gelombang berjalan, gelombang berdiri ini akan selalu diam. Disebut dengan knot. Bentuk seperti ini, titik naik dan turun seperti simpul. Yang ketiga yaitu instrumen musik. Gambar ini merupakan dinding di bagian ujung ke ujung seutas tali. Di dinding itu telah terjadi gelombang merambat dan gelombang memantul. Dan mereka menghasilkan amplitudo yang besar, tapi itu hanya berlaku untuk frekuensi yang sangat spesifik. Disebut juga dengan frekuensi resonansi. Frekuensi terendah memungkinkan hal ini terjadi disebut dengan fundamental yang akan membuat sendara bergetar. Jika kita meningkatkan frekuensi, maka kita mendapatkan resonansi kedua. Dan sebuah simpul melompat di tengah string, harmoni kedua akan berosilasi seperti. Dan jika frekuensi kita naikkan, maka dia akan berada tepat di tengah. Kita akan mendapat simpul tambahan dan mendapat ketiga harmonis. Fundamental menyebabkan fenomena resonansi terjadi. Sekian dari saya akhiri. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
And I need some help from someone. You've helped me before. Would you mind helping me again? So here is one end of the string which you're going to hold. You're going to be a node, believe it or not. Hold it better. 2 hands. No. Much better. You will see shortly why. No, much better. That's it. And walk back a little, walk further. Yeah, that's good. Hold it. I will put on a white glove, and there is a reason for that, because I want you to be able to see my hand when we're going to make it dark, so that you will convince yourself that my hand, which is generating the wave, is hardly moving at all. For practical purposes, it's a node, and yet we get these wonderful resonance phenomenon. So I'm going to make it very dark so that the UV will do its job and you can see the string better. That's the only way we can make you see the string well. All right. Don't let go under any circumstances. You will hurt me if you do that. Of course, if I let go first, then I will hurt you. But that's not my plan. Okay, so let's try to go a little bit further back. Let's try to find first the fundamental. And I'll try to find it by exciting just the right frequency with my hand. There it is. I think I got it. That's the fundamental. And look how little my hand is moving here. And you see a very large amplitude in the middle. And so these reflective waves, one runs to him, and it then comes back to me. And when it reaches me, it runs back to him again. It keeps reflecting many times. These reflective waves support each other. That's what resonance is all about. And now I'll try to find the second harmonic. So you'll see another note coming in at the middle. It's easier for you to see than for me, actually. And it's not always easy to find the... No, I'm too low frequency. I have to go up. I think I got it now. Is this it? Yeah, one extra note in the middle. Speak out up, please. Yes. Ah, that's better. Now I can hear you. Thank you. There are 3 nodes now. My friend there is a node, I'm a node, and then there's one in the middle. If you subtract one, the 3 minus 1 is 2, then it's a second harmonic. And so now I will try to generate a very high frequency in resonance, and then you count the number of nodes, subtract 1, and then you know which harmonic I was able to generate. So now I'll try to... It's not so easy. You need to get a resonance in there. No, I'm off resonance. No. Yeah. Got it. You keep counting. Keep counting. Oh, that's a super high harmonic. How many did you count? 10. Do I hear 10? Do I hear 20? Actually, I counted about 27, but that's okay. All right, thank you very much. That was great that you helped me. So that's of the fundamental. So I can now demonstrate to you the basic idea of a flute. This is a flute. Now, the flute is this long. Low frequency. Higher frequency, because it's shorter. Even higher frequency, because it's shorter. That's all it takes. Trombone. That speaks for itself, right? Make it longer, you make it shorter. I'll try. Trombone. Wind organ, 80 centimeters long, open and open on both sides. 80 centimeters, that would give me a fundamental a little higher than 170. And then it will give me a second harmonic and a third harmonic. It all depends on how fast the air is flowing by, and there will be moments that you will hear more than one harmonic. I'll try to swing it around. It's not easy for me to hit the fundamental, but I'll try that too. This is the second harmonic. Third harmonic. Fourth harmonic. Fifth harmonic. Fourth. Fundamental. This is fundamental. This is the fundamental, 212 hertz. 425 hertz. 637. 637. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Several years after this lecture, I measured the frequencies and discovered that what I believed to be the first harmonic in this lecture, in reality, was the second harmonic. So all resonance frequencies were one harmonic higher than I thought at the time. If you bang on a tuning fork or you pluck on a string, in isolation you hear nothing, almost nothing. I have here a tuning fork, and if I bang on it, you hear nothing and I hear nothing, almost nothing, unless I hold it very close to my ear. What we do now with string instruments, we mount the strings on a box with air, a sound cavity, sounding board it's called. And now the air inside can oscillate with it. It doesn't always have to be precisely at resonance. And also the surface itself of the box can start to vibrate. So you're displacing more air and the sound becomes loud and clear. You don't gain energy, but you drain the energy out of the oscillating string faster. And so for that short amount of time, you get louder sound. And I will demonstrate that first with the tuning fork. I hear it now very well. It's harder for you because you're farther away. Now you hear nothing. And now you hear it. It can actually be much better demonstrated with this little music box that I bought years ago in Switzerland. If I rotate this music box, it has a very romantic tune, you hear nothing. I hear a little bit. And now I put it on this box. Unmistakable. So that's the idea of sounding boards. You have them violins, you have them on pianos, and of course the design of these sounding boards is top secret. The manufacturer is not going to tell you how they built them because the quality of the sound, of course, is partly in the design of the sounding board. I can make you hear and I can make you see sound. And my goal for the remaining time is to make you see and hear at the same time. I have here a microphone, which is like your eardrum. And suppose I generate 440 hertz. And I can do that with a tuning fork. So here is the amplitude of the oscillation of the membrane in the microphone, which is your eardrum, say. We amplify that, and we show you on an oscilloscope the current after amplification. And so you're going to see a signal like this. And if this is 440 hertz, so this is time, and this is the displacement of your eardrum. In our case, it's a microphone. It's really a current after amplification. And if this is 440 hertz, then this time t will be about 2.3 milliseconds. 1 divided by 440. That's no problem for an oscilloscope. We can do much better than that. So the time resolution is not a problem. And so I will show you there the output of our microphone. I will show you this signal as a function of time. For 440 hertz, you'll see a boring signal. And I can make a boring signal with a tuning fork. That's almost a pure sinusoid. But now, it just so happens that today we have in our audience someone who can play the violin. And that person is going to produce a 440 hertz. But at the same time, he's going to produce a second harmonic, and maybe a third harmonic, and maybe a fourth harmonic. And so imagine now that simultaneously, your eardrum is going to do this, but at the same time, your eardrum is going to do this because this is some higher harmonic. Then the net result is that your eardrum is going to do this. And that is what I'm going to show you. And so when you see the various instruments, you will recognize that on top of the fundamental, you'll see these very characteristic harmonics, each instrument having its own cocktail, its own unique cocktail, and when you hear that cocktail, you say, oh yeah, that's a saxophone. Or you say, no, that's a violin. You would never mistake a saxophone for a violin. And that's because of the combination of the higher harmonics. And so we are so fortunate that we have 4 musicians in our audience. Tom, who is the violinist, where is Tom? There is Tom. I hope you brought your violin. Oh, you got it there. And then we have Emily. I saw her already with the clarinet. So if you come this way, Emily. And we have Aaron. Aaron has a bassoon. You may never have seen a bassoon. A bassoon is an instrument that produces a very low tone. So the instrument is going to be very big. Bigger than Aaron. Just wait and see. It's a beauty. It's a really beautiful instrument. A flute is only this big. Ah, look at that. Beautiful, big bassoon. And then we have Fabian with a saxophone. So if you stand here, then I will first do the boring part. And what I will do is, I will show you then what a 440 hertz signal looks like produced with a tuning fork. And we'll see it there. And so I have to change the light situation substantially. So the musicians will get a little bit into the dark, but you will still be able to see them. And so I'm going to turn on now the microphone. And that's where you're going to see the signal. And when you make noise, you can hear and see yourself. 440. Boring, and no signs of higher harmonics. Now Tom will try to produce 440 on his violin, or close to 440, and then look for the higher harmonics, which makes the violin characteristic. Notice that the average spacing, the repetition, is indeed the same as it was with the 440, but you saw this incredible richness of harmonics. Tom happens to be also an excellent violin player, and so he insisted that he demonstrates that. Right, Tom? Okay, go ahead. Terrific. Emily, would you mind producing something that comes close to 440 hertz? Come a little close to the microphone. Notice the big difference with the violin. Violin has many, many higher harmonics. Your instrument, maybe only one, maybe only the fundamental and the second harmonic. Can you try again? Now you have more, now you have more. Now Emily did not insist that she wanted to play, but I did. So Emily, would you please? Impressive. Aaron, with his bassoon. He ordered a special chair. Because he says, look, with an instrument so big, L is so large, it's heavy. Clearly, a bass, which produces low frequencies, is heavier than a violin, and the same is true with woodwind instruments. Aaron, could you try something close to 440? Bizarre instrument, isn't it? Eh? You see a weird combination of probably fundamental and second harmonic. Aaron, would you mind showing some of your expertise? This is a wonderful instrument. You don't see them too often, do you? Terrific. And last but not least, we have a saxophone, Fabian. Now you may have to stand a long distance from this microphone because these instruments make a hell of a lot of noise, don't they? So give it a shot and try 440 or come close to that. Doesn't have to be exact. Interesting. Also, you see several higher harmonics. It's hard to tell which. So would you mind playing something real hot? Oh, man, come on, here. If you think we're interested in hearing it, you're wrong, we want to see it. Oh, Bell, I missed it. Do it again. I missed it. You can't. Thank all of you. Thank you very much. So during the last 3 minutes, I would like to discuss with you the speed of sound in a little bit more detail.